So on the advantages of telehealth, first of all, what is telehealth? Telehealth is like Zoom, it's like FaceTime. Basically, you'd see me as a psychologist like this, and we'd see each other face to face and talk over the internet.
It has absolutely and utterly revolutionised how we work with families. I think one of the most powerful aspects of telehealth is that the support person, which is usually mum, learns how to work with their child because they become the hands-on.
What that means is the therapist is in your home, which I think has a lot of value. They're looking at your lounge room or your child's bedroom. They're looking at their toys, not the perfect toys in the therapy room.
Being virtually inside somebody's house is hugely beneficial because it allows me as a therapist to see what's going on in the child's natural environment. So I can then get ideas as a therapist what the child is interacting in on a daily basis. So it's really important to not pick arbitrary targets for the child to learn, but to pick targets that the child is encountering on a daily basis.
I think one thing I've discovered in being able to work more in telehealth is just how valuable it is for bringing services to families who either can't get to the clinic because of distance, but also because sometimes it can be really hard to get an autistic child into a clinic. And it's much more naturalistic and relaxing for the child to have the therapy at home. So I've found that having a screen in the corner of the room where there's a naturalistic setting where a parent can be playing with their child, there's a way of being involved in the home environment that I wouldn't be able to access if the family were coming in to see me in my clinic.
But you can really achieve a lot. Now, it's been very helpful for people who are geographically isolated. You know, it's just not practical to travel 5-6 hours to a capital city.
Works well for some kids, a little bit harder for others. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on the child's ability to engage, it depends on the age, it depends on the challenges that we're working with. Some of the difficulties are obviously things that we need to be doing in the home. Other ones, it might be that we're working through maybe some anxious thoughts that the child might be having, or there might be sort of parent support that we need. So we can make it work in the situations where we have to. There will be things that you might need to sort of come back to the clinic for.
When you're looking at early intervention, to be realistic, the only option is actually parent training. Young children aren't going to sit on the end of a computer and listen to a therapist try and play with them. So what you want is you want a model of parent training that's going to go over telehealth. There is a lot of evidence. There are quite a number of evidence-based programs that have actually researched this.
The lifesaver was the Bluetooth headphone. And those earpods actually gave me the freedom to leave the system and move around with my daughter while still being in touch with the therapist. So we would set up a camera in such a way that the whole room or whole therapy room or the living room is covered. So therapist could see us, but I did not have to see her. And my daughter did not have to hear her. So it'll be just the Bluetooth headphones in my ear where I would be communicating with her and she would be watching me doing the session with my daughter. So my daughter would never know that there is an extra person who is guiding mom on how to run this target. It was less of a sensory overload, less of a computer distraction. So I would say technology has made the telehealth sessions much more easier and comfortable for us.
For telehealth sessions to be successful with your therapist on the end of a computer, what you really need is a relatively quiet, clear room. You need any kinds of distractors removed from that room. You need an environment where you're going to be the focus of your child. So when you've got a therapist talking in your ear, that child is going to be focused on you. And that's the way that you want it moving forward. So if you're going to work at home with your child on a regular basis, there needs to be a slightly sterile environment where you're the focus for the child, not everything around the room.
But it also comes down to the therapist that you're working with. So a therapist that's able to actually keep the child engaged, it might need lots of breaks in between, we might need games, we might need to do a lot of pretend stuff along the way, and it's okay if the child is kind of coming and going on camera and they're kind of showing you their room, and that's actually the beauty of it. You actually get to be with them in the house and they can show you things and they can bring in their special interests and show you all the things that they enjoy. If you're working with a good therapist, they'll actually use that information.
And there's some amazing innovations going on at the moment in telehealth with making the screen much more interactive, developing games, for example, that the child plays and learns more about emotion management. So the psychologists, OTs, speechies, we're all getting very inventive, very creative about making this an engaging experience for the child. And importantly, it means that there's access.
And if I actually had my way, I think actually parent training inside families' homes via telehealth should be a part of every child's program, wherever they are.